it's Lindsay, and today I'm doing a book haul. This book haul is going to be a little bit different. It's pretty much called Books That I'm Hauling That You Don't Care About. I got this idea from Ariel Bissett. Her channel is amazing. If you like discussion-based analytical booktube channels, check her out. I love her so much. But Ariel does these TBR videos where she's like, hey, these are all the books that I'm really excited to read that are not popular and you guys probably don't care. I actually have a lot of books like that too, so I was like, oh, I'm gonna do a video like this. So right now me and my family are combing through my late grandmother's house where I grew up. It was my childhood home. So I have a lot of books that I had growing up and a lot of her books that she had that I'm taking and bringing into my own library. I'm really excited about all of these. I think they're so cool. Some of them are nostalgic, some of them are old. None of them have been published, I don't even think, in like the last 10 years. But I'm looking at them now, that's why I keep looking down, but they're so cool and I'm really excited to talk about them. So like, I hope you guys are like down for that. No. Now this first book that I want to talk about today is arguably my favorite book of the entire haul, just because it's so cool. And that is a book called Gregg Shorthand Anniversary Edition. Now this book has so many intriguing things about it. First of all, the edition was printed in 1893, which now makes this book the oldest book that is in my collection. But it is also a textbook from my grandmother's high school. Back in 1949, they didn't have yearbooks. So what actually happened was if you open to the first few pages, you can see where my grandma had all of her friends and classmates sign the inside of her textbook. It was so cool combing through this and looking at all of the messages that they left her and like well wishes for the rest of her life. It was just, it's so, I don't even know how to describe it. It's incredible. But if you weren't aware, shorthand is essentially a language that was created and basically became obsolete in the 50s. But it's an entire language of almost like calligraphy that was created to make writing shorter. But yeah, very interesting, very weird. It looks like scribbles to me, but people could actually get college degrees in this stuff, so pretty cool. The next two books I got are actually not mine, but I'm borrowing them from my dad because he doesn't have use for them right now. Those are some Hardy Boy books. Now only one of these is the original print, and that is The Missing Chums. This one I think was published in 64? 62. So this is an original edition. This is probably worth a lot of money. I don't know. But dad has, I think, over like 40 first edition Hardy Boys books, but this is the only one that I have in my collection because it wasn't my grandmother's. So I'm keeping it, and maybe one day I will inherit all of his copies and I'll have a full set. Who knows? And if I sell them, I might have millions of dollars. Who knows? I also have this reprint of The Clue of the Screeching Owl, which is actually my dad's favorite. He did not have the original copy. He doesn't know what happened to it, but it was his favorite, so he rebought this one. I took it because I want to read it and check it out because it was his absolute favorite growing up as a kid, so I'm eventually, one of these days, I'm going to read this. Oh my gosh, this is gonna be so funny. This is like mildly humiliating to show you guys. But the next book I'm gonna show you is 100 Things You Should Know About Ancient Egypt. Now that's not the embarrassing part about this, okay? This is a really cool book. I will show you a couple pages on the inside. As you can see, it's like really cool pictures, facts. This is great, you know, books that are entertaining, good pictures, teach kids tons of stuff. But what actually is funny to me, when I was flipping through this book, I found pages and pages of notes that my little 12-year-old heart had taken because I was that much of a nerd that I took notes. I literally have the pharaoh, like, what do you call this? A family tree. I was practicing my hieroglyphs. I have 3 or 4 pages just entitled notes where I was so engrossed in all of this stuff. I just wanted to learn more. I went on a website and printed out more knowledgeable stuff. Like, guys, I didn't have friends, okay? I mean, like, in like a serious way, this is actually really cute, and I look back on this and I'm like, oh my gosh, like 10-year-old, 12-year-old Lindsay was adorable and friendless and a scholar. I was a scholar child. I'm really glad I found this. This just kind of warms my heart. Nerd level 500. Next I have a couple mismatched copies of the Chronicle of Narnia books. I have The Horse and His Boy, The Magician's Nephew, and Prince Caspian. Now I remember reading these as kids. I didn't particularly like them that much. I know I'm in the unpopular opinion with that, but I found them kind of slow, a little bit dry. They read a little bit aged to me. So I wasn't as huge of a fan of these as most people are. I don't plan to continue the series. I probably will end up donating these or selling them at a second priced bookstore, just because they are like mismatched anyway, so we'll see. The next book that I found is a 50th anniversary of To Kill a Mockingbird by Harper Lee. This must have been the copy that I had to read for school. I read it in my sophomore year of high school, but I also thought I would go ahead and show you off my original version of To Kill a Mockingbird. I really love this one. I said it's the original version, but I don't actually know if it is or not. It was printed in 1960, so I think it is, but I'm not actually sure. I'd have to do some research to find out. But yeah, I love getting books that are secondhand because they're dedicated to people that I don't even know. And it's cool. It feels like there's so much history in here. And I love this. I treasure my old books, so this is cool. The next thing I have to show you guys are some cool health, body, psychology books. This first one is called You, the Owner's Manual, and that's by Dr. Oz and Rosin. I don't know if that Dr. Oz is like the one who has the TV show, but that's his name. An insider's guide to the body that will make you healthier and younger. So, you know, I'm 24. I want to look like 12. This is just a really cool, accessible way to understand the different systems of your body. It kind of looks like a fun little textbook, like, oh look, pictures, uterus. It's a cool book and I want to revisit it. I want to read it. Like I said, I think it's been like 10 years since I read it originally. So this next book is the only one that didn't come from my grandmother's house, but that is Phantoms in the Brain by Dr. Ramachandran and Blakesley. So this book is set to probe the mystery of the human mind. Now, for those of you that don't know, I just graduated with my bachelor's degree in psychology. I am a huge neurology nerd, like it's kind of ridiculous. But I remember taking a class my junior year and we read a book by Ramachandran and it was fascinating. Like it wasn't like a boring dull textbook. Like Ramachandran is actually a storyteller. Like he makes these books about like facts. Like, I mean, this is like heavy textbook looking, right? He's so funny. Like he has such a good voice and he brings such a delightful story to the table. He's incredibly witty, which is really, really funny because a lot of this is like, it's all about phantom limbs, right? Like people that get their limbs blown off, but they still think they're there. It's really funny because a lot of times they're talking about like phantom genitalia and he's really punny with those types of jokes. So I remember reading sections of this in college and really loving it, and I always wanted to have my own copy. I went out and bought my own version and I'm gonna haul it here because it's weird and like nobody would care if I put this in a regular haul. But this is fun and this makes me nerd out and I'm super excited to read this and nobody cares but me and I'm happy about it, so woo! Now, the next two books are really obscure middle grade YA titles that I have never heard anyone talk about, nor do I remember very much about them, but that is the Hangman's Curse and Escape from Memory. I think Margaret Peterson Haddix is pretty famous. So maybe this one has some hype, but I've never heard of anything by Frank Pertee, so I don't know. It just makes me kind of laugh because when I read the back of these, it's like, man, you really didn't know your own reading taste yet. But this one is basically about two twins that are enlisted secretly by the president to like solve crimes and stuff. Okay, and I literally remembered nothing about this book and I just read the back and it's actually pretty intriguing. So it's about a girl who is hypnotized at a party just for kicks, and all of a sudden all these memories come rushing back to her of when she was a refugee, and I think there's like a paranormal sci-fi twist to this. Something about memories being locked in her mind and her mother getting killed, and I don't know, I might actually keep this and like read it one day. I still have the bookmark in it. I'm on page 91, so apparently I wasn't super enthralled as a child, but I mean, this sounds kind of interesting. And the last 5 books that I have to show you are so cool. I completely forgot that these even existed and how much I love them until I found them. They're really, really heavy. But that is the Ology series. These are basically textbooks, but in a fun, accessible way for children, where they just have different subjects and they're really like interactive, cool books. I'll show you guys what I'm talking about. But the ones that I have are Piratology. I also have Egyptology, which, if you can't tell, I wanted to be like an archaeologist when I was a kid. I was so sure that I was gonna discover mummies and stuff. Like I loved The Mummy Returns. That was my favorite movie as a child, which really isn't a child-friendly movie, but I loved it. I have a princess primer because, of course, what 10-year-old doesn't need a book like this? Dragonology, because my nerdiness started from a very young age. And Spyology. Spy Kids was my favorite movie. I literally ran that VHS so much that it broke. And when I found these books, I immediately got so excited and I went online and found out what other books in the collection were out that I didn't have and I couldn't wait to get. And there are like, I think 6 or 7 more that I really want. And now I'm gonna spend obscene amounts of money completing my collection because these are the coolest things ever. And it just sets my little nerdy heart afire. A non-book item that I wanted to share is this beautiful art print. This is a painting, a reproduction of A Young Girl Reading by Jean Honnier Frengat. My French is absolutely terrible, and actually I don't even know if this is French, but there you go, it's beautiful. It's funny because this is exactly something that I would want in my room, and it's funny my grandma had it, so I'm like, oh, it's gonna look great on my art print wall or like my Harry Potter wall or something. I don't know where I want to put it. We can pretend it's like Rowena Ravenclaw, right? But anyway, you guys, thanks so much for sticking around if you stuck around to the end, watching my weird, nerdy, eclectic book haul that nobody cares about. I will be reading some of these books probably pretty shortly, or rereading the ones that I already did. I'm excited and I have no shame. Let me know down in the comments if any of these sound interesting to you. If you have any types of books that you enjoy reading that aren't popular on booktube but you want to tell me about anyway, because I care. Like, I will be that one person to completely nerd out with you and stuff. So yeah, let me know down in the comments. But thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!